Welcome back everyone, I'm Robert Hall, and today I'm going to hit you with some new news regarding Godox lighting equipment. So Godox has been a theme for over a year on this channel now, and they just keep on bringing out new equipment, new releases, new functionality, so I want to catch you guys up to speed with everything that's happened recently. So the first bit of news concerns the Godox AD-200, which is a dual head for the Godox AD-200. Now we knew in advance that there was going to be some aspect of modularity with the Godox AD-200. That's what the ridges were designed for on the top and bottom, and they did not disappoint, announcing this double head really quickly after releasing the AD-200. So it's really simple. It is a Bowens mount in the front, and then you attach two AD-200s to the back of it to power it, giving you an effective wattage of 400 watt-second. Now you can choose from either using two of the AD-200 bulbs, the bare bulbs for the AD-200, or you can use one AD-360 bulb. Once I actually get one in my hands, I'll be sure to let you guys know which one of those options actually delivers more power. Because I'm not exactly positive if that AD-360 bulb is limited by the actual bulb or if it's limited by the amount of power that the AD-360 can put out. So that bulb might actually get a little bit of a boost of power over the AD-360 when it's powered by two 200 watt units. I'm also not positive if using those two bulbs is going to lose some efficiency just because it's throwing so much light into one another. Of course, there's a Bowens mount on the front, so you can attach it to any of the Bowens mount adapters that you've accumulated using, say, the AD-600 or the Godox S bracket. One thing I noticed is that the bulbs are actually quite far out from the Bowens mount, meaning it's going to be really efficient in delivering power inside a softbox because those bulbs are not recessed into the actual modifier ring like you see on a Godox AD-600. Lastly, the price came in much lower than I expected. I was thinking this was going to be at least 120, 150 bucks, and this is only a $60 accessory. On Flashpoint, it's already listed $59. And of course, it's going to work with both the Evolv 200 Flashpoints versions as well as the Godox AD-200. All of that stuff's interchangeable. Another release for the AD-200 is the new ADL. And the ADL is in the same shape as the Fresnel head. It would replace the Fresnel head on the AD-200, and it has 60 little LED lights and delivers about 3.5 watts. So this is going to be a little bit more powerful than the LED that you get embedded into the Fresnel flash attachment to the AD-200. But I still don't think it's going to be very useful. 3.5 watts is still just such low wattage that if you put that inside a modifier like an umbrella or a softbox, you're really not going to get a ton of modeling properties out of it unless you're in pretty much pitch dark. So I don't think it's that useful, but hey, it's only 23 bucks, so it's not too much of a loss if it doesn't work out for you. Next thing I want to talk about is B&H actually started selling Godox equipment. I found this really surprising given the success that Godox has had already rebranding their products with Adorama and Cheetah and Molite and all the big companies that sell it here. But now B&H is going to be selling it and they're not rebranding any of the names. I think it's kind of cool because it verifies the brand a little bit to be represented by its own name in the US. And I think that due to their success with the entire X series, this is just a move that will make them a household name in the US for photographers and lighting equipment, because right now all they've done over the last 2 years is create a ton of confusion with all the rebranding. So we might see some exclusivity in the future. Who knows? I'm just guessing at this point. But I do think it's great and well earned as they've put out a lot of great products. Next up, the TT350 has dropped for Olympus or Panasonic and Fuji cameras. TT350 is a smaller AA Speedlight, a little bit less powerful, but much more balanced for those smaller mirrorless form factors. Most importantly, it's bringing users of Fuji, Olympus, and Panasonic into an awesome world of lighting, because especially with Fuji, they just didn't have their act together with lighting, and there was no real elegant solution for off-camera lighting through Fuji. And so Godox did a great job beating some of the other companies to the punch and delivering for those smaller companies. Now the X1 trigger for Olympus is already out, and the X1 trigger for Fuji is on its way, should be shipping in like the next week or so. I know a lot of places are estimating deliveries around the 20th to 25th of the month, so we should see those landing online really soon, available for purchase. Like everything else with Godox, the Fuji X1 and the Olympus X1 and the Flashpoint stuff is interchangeable and available from both options. And the TT350 is going to be available for $76, which when you're comparing it to other flashes for Fuji, this is extremely cheap. Okay, I saved the best piece of news for last. By bringing out the TT350 for Fuji and Olympus along with the X1, Fuji needed to update their AD-600 and AD-200 to accept those signals from all the Fuji and Panasonic Olympus equipment. If you don't know already, the Godox AD-600 and the AD-200, since they don't have a shoe, they have the receiving technology in them for all the brands. It's Nikon, Canon, Sony, and now Fuji and Olympus Panasonic. But very quietly, they did also do some firmware updates for their Speedlight, such as the TT685 and the V860 version 2. And what came with this firmware update was a complete surprise. I'm so surprised that we haven't seen this announced from Godox because it's actually huge. They have implemented cross-ttl, cross-hss across all the brands. So as long as you have the appropriate master controller, you can now trigger any of the other products, including the Speedlights that were previously specified for other brands. So this means I can take my TT350 for Fuji and use it with my V862 for Nikon, and not just in manual. I can do TTL, high-speed sync, and even TTL compensation. Everything works now all across the board. So this means Canon can trigger Sony, Sony can trigger Nikon. All the items, everything just works together. As long as you have the appropriate master controller, whether it be an X1 or a Speedlight that can trigger, the other units will recognize that signal and actually convert it into the appropriate TTL for the camera. So now it all works together. This is huge for anybody who uses two different systems. I have Sony gear, I have a Panasonic camera, I have tons of Nikon gear. I've moved away from Fuji, but previously I had Fuji. So now they all work together. Meaning if you want to use your whole lighting system that you've accumulated for one camera brand and you have a new camera, all you need to do is get either one cheap flash or the controller, and now you have access to all your previous lighting gear. This is just another instance of Godox making things easier on the photographers, and this is why they've got so popular. This is going to be huge for cross-brand shooters, anyone using two brands. It's also going to benefit you if, say, you have a second shooter that you really like that shoots another brand, and you both want to work off that same lighting system. It's going to increase the functionality of that. Now, all they have to have is their own trigger, $40 trigger or $100 flash, either or, and they can be in business using your lighting setup. I find this surprising because Cactus was the one that was really pushing for this whole cross-TTL thing, and then out of nowhere, Godox just beat him to the punch and did it quietly without announcing it to anyone. So make sure to update your firmware using the G1, G2 software. Everything's got updates really recently, so make sure to check that out and you can enjoy all this new functionality. That's all the news regarding Godox from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, share it if you think it's going to help somebody else out, and if you're new here, consider subscribing to see my future videos. Till next time, keep on shooting, YouTube.